Damage is the harm, loss, or deterioration to a person, property, or entity, including physical, financial, emotional, or reputational impacts. Economic damages are quantifiable financial loss, such as loss of income, medical expenses, repair costs, or reduced property value. On the other hand, moral damages are non-economic and harm affected emotionally, psychological, or social well-being, including emotional suffering, mental anguish, or damaged reputation. In Mexico, the Federal Civil Code addresses the protection of personal privacy through the concept of moral damages, as it's outlined in Article 1916, which states that this legal provision recognizes moral damages as harm inflicted upon an individual's feeling, affections, beliefs, decorum, honor, reputation, private life, physical appearance, or the way others perceive them. At the federal level, the only recourse for addressing privacy violations is through the concept of moral damages. This is because the Penal Code requires specific conditions for classifying a violation as a criminal offense, such as the use of electronic or telecommunications means to obtain material, which may not always be applicable in cases of moral damages. Moral damage refers to a symbolic injury suffered by an individual who experiences emotional and psychological harm, affecting their dignity and self-worth. This type of damages arises when a person's sense of well-being is impacted by wrongful acts. Legally, moral damage can be attributed to another person's negligence or malice. Consequently, the responsible party may be held liable for compensating the victim for their suffering. The compensation aims to address the emotional and psychological harm inflicted. Due to its abstract name and nature, assessing the extent of moral damages and determining appropriate compensation can be complex. Unlike physical or economic damages, which have more concrete measures, moral damages require careful evaluation of its impact on the individual's emotional and psychological state. Moral damage can manifest in various situations, and the law recognizes it as an impact on the person's intimate and emotional sphere. Defamation is the dissemination of false statements that harm an individual's reputation. Violation of privacy. It's the improper disclosure of personal information or unauthorized intrusion into someone's private life. Harassment. It's the repetitive, hostile, or threatening behavior that causes significant emotional distress to the victim. Discrimination is an unequal or unjust treatment based on characteristics such as race, gender, sexual orientation, religion, or others, leading to emotional distress. Injury to dignity are those actions that affect person's self-esteem, decorum, honor, or the ways others perceive them. Emotional distress is the psychological suffering caused by distressing events or actions that impact a person's mental and emotional well-being. At the federal level in our country, privacy violations are addressed through claims for moral damages rather than criminal proceedings. The Penal Code requires specific conditions such as evidence obtained through electronic or telecommunication means for a privacy violation to be classified as a crime. In these conditions, if these conditions are not met, moral damages claims become the primary means of legal redress. Moral damages focus on non-economic aspects like personal feelings and reputation. Unlike crimes offenses that imposes penalties, moral damages deal with the emotional and psychological impact on the victim. This subjective nature makes it more appropriate for civil resolution, aiming to compensate the victim for their suffering rather than punishing the offender. In civil cases, compensation is commonly sought to address emotional distress and damage to dignity or reputation. The amount of compensation considers factors such as the affected rights and financial status of the parties involved. Additionally, courts may order measures like punishing a judgment summary or issuing a public apology to acknowledge and address the harm. The civil system provides a flexible approach to handling the complexity of moral damages, focusing on compensation rather than punitive damages. Compensation for moral damages commonly include financial restitution to address emotional suffering and harm to the victim's dignity, reputation, or well-being. The amount of compensation is determined by various factors, including the affected rights and financial circumstances of the party involved. In addition to financial compensation, the reparative process may involve additional measures. For instance, a judge may order the publication of a summary of the judgment in selected media to reflect the nature and extent of the damage. A special measure might include through a public apology, acknowledge and address the harm caused. Correction or dissemination information may be part of this compensation. However, individuals exercising their right to free speech are not obliged to repair moral damages, thus safeguarding freedom of expression. Negative opinions in contexts such as literary criticism or professional duties, like in newspapers or any other broadcasting companies, are not considered offenses against honor, ensuring that freedom of expression, which is entitled in our Constitution, is respected in all situations. In the context of moral damages compensation, the right to reply plays a crucial role, particularly in addressing harm to an individual's reputation and image. In our country, the right to reply is enriched in Article 6 of our Constitution. This legal principle allows individuals to respond to any incorrect, false, or inaccurate information which has been disseminated about them in any media, aiming to balance freedom of expression with the protection of personal reputation and dignity. This right enables affected individuals to present their side of the story and rectify misunderstanding caused by misunderstood information. The right to reply is closely related to the right of privacy and moral damages. While privacy concerns the protection of personal, intimate information from unauthorized disclosure, moral damages addresses the emotional and psychological harm resulting from attacks of one's reputation and dignity. By allowing individuals to correct false information, The right to reply helps safeguard privacy and mitigate moral damages, ensuring that personal reputations are not unfairly tarnished and that individuals can protect their dignity for undue harm.